Hello everyone, I am Dr. Mary L. Audio from Nagaland University. Today we are going to explore a fascinating topic under organizational behavior and development theories of learning. Learning is not just something that happens in classrooms. It shapes how we grow, adapt, and perform in our personal lives and at the workplace. Over the next few slides, we'll dive into some important theories that explain how people actually learn. Now, before we go into details, let us set the stage. Psychologists have developed different theories to learn how learning happens. Broadly, this can be grouped into behavioristic, cognitive, and social approaches. Each one has its own way of explaining how knowledge, skills, and habits are formed. This is the classical conditioning theory. This is developed by the Russian psychologist Ivan Pavlov. Pavlov discovered this theory through his famous experiment with dogs. First, when the dog was given meat, it naturally started salivating. In this case, the meat is the unconditioned stimulus and the salivation is the unconditioned response. On the other hand, the sound of a bell by itself did not cause salivation. The bell was just a mental, neutral stimulus. But when Pavlov repeatedly rang the bell just before giving the meat, the dog started associating the bell with food. After some time, even when there was no meat, just the sound of a bell made the dog salivate. At this point, the bell became the conditioned stimulus and the salivation to the bell became the conditioned response. This experiment shows how behavior can be learned through association. So if we bring this to the workplace, imagine an employee who hears the sound of an email notification. At first, it means nothing, but over time, if that sound is always linked with urgent messages from the boss, the employee may start feeling stressed or alert the moment the sound plays, even before reading the mail. This is classical conditioning in real life. Current conditioning, developed by B. F. Skinner, explains that behavior is shaped by its consequences. If a behavior is followed by a reward, it is repeated. If it is followed by a punishment, it decreases. For example, in the workplace, an employee who gets a bonus for meeting sales targets is motivated to keep performing well. But if being late leads to a pay cut, they'll avoid lateness. So operant conditioning is all about using rewards and consequences to guide behavior. Cognitive learning theory views learning as the result of deliberate thinking on a problem or solution, using known facts and responding in an objective way. It suggests that people learn the meaning of objects and events, and their responses depend on the meaning they assign to stimuli. Cognitive learning theory also proposes that learners develop cognitive structures, which is organized memories, where they store information about their experiences. In short, learning is an active, thoughtful process that connects new facts with prior knowledge, helping us make sense of the world around us. So, this experiment done by Kohler on a monkey in a cage explains that through our own cognitive thinking approach, learning also takes place. This social learning theory says that learning often happens in a social context. We don't only learn by doing. Sometimes we learn simply by watching others. Think about how new employees copy the way senior employees talk to clients or how children imitate their parents. Social learning highlights observation, imitation, and decision making as key processes. This experiment on the Bandura Bobo doll by Albert Bandura is a classic example of how learning takes place in a social context. To sum up, learning is complex, and no single theory explains it completely. We study learning theories because they give us the tools to understand how people actually learn. In short, Learning theories connect psychology to workplace success. These are the references. Thank you.